like, it's more, I don't think you're able to take criticism. I don't think any of them are. I think the same people who like to dish it out all the time become the biggest snowflakes, you know, this side of the Arctic, as soon as anyone pushes back against it, and then it's like, your jokes suck. This is just transphobic. That's all there is to it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, yet another cancellation. Yet another cancellation, you know, oh, woe is me. Oh, I'm just gonna have to sign on to another $40 million Netflix deal now. That's just gonna be my, my cross to bear at the end of this. I love Tim Pool's face.
Ricky Gervais is
at the start of this for that thumbnail. You don't see it here, but his picture is just...
Ricky Gervais is currently under fire from the woke mob for making jokes about trans people in his latest comedy special on Netflix. Netflix recently laid off their diversity staff and issued a warning to their staff that if you don't like the content they make, you can leave. I'd like to go back in time, my friends.
Epic.
I'd like to go back in time to one of the first, if the first, I could be wrong, original series Netflix ever produced, House of Cards. I remember when House of Cards came out and everyone loved it. And then later they learned bad things about Kevin Spacey, and then nobody really wanted to watch it without him. Here was the idea. Netflix had all of these different shows from all of these different production companies and networks. They had all these different movies. And they could see what people liked, what had the highest engagement, what tended to play the best with the general audience. And so they said, well, people like political thrillers, and people really like Kevin Spacey. So let's make a political thriller show with Kevin Spacey, and boom, House of Cards was an instant hit. For some reason, Netflix started to drift into wokeness, seemingly in defiance of their own metrics. Perhaps they were swallowing the refuse straight from Twitter, believing the woke garbage. Well, now, they decided to put out this Netflix special with Ricky Gervais, and he has several jokes about the trans community and woke mobs. They're actually interesting points to be made.
Oh.
But of course now, they're threatening to cancel Ricky Gervais, who I'm sure doesn't care. Why did Netflix come out recently and say, if you don't like the content we make, you can leave? Perhaps it's because they knew they were going to release a Ricky Gervais comedy special. Perhaps over at Netflix, they're looking at their analytics and they're like, people like comedy, people like Ricky Gervais. Let's roll with it. And then Ricky says, here's the joke.
So I don't know if it's confirmed. Owen Higgins reported that apparently this special has actually been in their stock catalog for a while, and they've been a bit hesitant at releasing it. And this was not exactly something that was like recorded, made, produced within the span of the last couple months.
I'm going to do. And they go, ooh, oh, geez, what do we do? And they said, guys, people really like Ricky Gervais, but he's making jokes that are going to trigger the woke. We need to preempt this. Now they're laying off woke and diversity hires, like the people who run the diversity stuff at Netflix are getting fired.
Wait, that's your theory? Let's get ahead of this because we know we might get in trouble for yet another super hardcore transphobic special coming out on our network. Let's do this. Let's fire the diversity.
Ricky Gervais is telling the jokes he wants to tell. So this is a very grand get woke, go broke, and perhaps we'll see the opposite, which would be like, I don't know, anti-woke, not broke, or whatever. Get unwoke, get wealthy, I suppose. No, it probably is better to say get unwoke, be not broke.
I mean, it kind of sucks because the best analysis you're going to be able to do of pop culture, if your only framework is always go woke, go broke, you know, him, the quartering, geeks and gamers, which, by the way, does not bear out in the numbers, hasn't done anything to Disney, hasn't done anything to Disney's movies and sequels and Star Warses and numerous Star Warses. How angry was this entire mob at the Last Jedi? You know, freaking out about The Last Jedi, calling it, you know, an abomination and all this kind of stuff. Oh, it's so woke. Oh my God. And not even you don't even have to look to The Last Jedi. Fucking every single, like, movie in that series was like, whoa, you know, there's a black protagonist. There's a woman Jedi. She's the star. Well, what is this? Oh my God.
Because there's no guarantee you're going to become rich off of making this content, but at the very least, people won't abandon your platform, right? Well, certainly many of the woke people are like, I'm canceling my subscription to Netflix. But you know what? Woke people make up a tiny fraction of this country. Stop pandering to people who don't buy your stuff. So we do have this story from Variety about Ricky Gervais. But let me just show you this stuff real quick. Netflix's woke purge.
Oh, Daily Mail.
Troubled streaming giant's latest layoffs targeted staff who are among its most vocal social justice warriors. Ah, victory. It sounds so sweet. The cultists are losing. They are being gutted from the...
Is like I was putting it on the screen earlier, but I can put it back. Let's see. Netflix stock, because this is kind of I don't know, in contrary to your theory here, if we want to look at the actual numbers and data, so we look at the 5 months, sorry, 1 month, let's look at 6 months. So 6 months ago, at its zenith, Netflix stock was at $614 a share. And as all of this has been going on around the time of, the closer coming out, and then all the way up until now, and then further revelations. And by the way, I, unlike Tim Pool, don't believe that a single decision or two is solely responsible for this absolute collapse, but it leaves them at $180 a share now, which is quite low compared to where it was half a year ago. I don't think the reason for this is that they went woke. I don't think that's the explanation. I think there's a lot of factors and a multitude of vectors that play into this.
Good for you, Netflix. Maybe once you get rid of cuties, I'll agree to come on your platform, or maybe Big Mouth. But, I'm not just going to sit back and be like, oh, look, they made jokes about trans people. Look, I don't...
Wait. Big Mouth? Big Mouth is the new enemy? All right.
Care about directly insulting people. Right? I'm not in favor of that. I don't like it. You want to criticize an idea, I'm fine with it. You want to insult someone directly, I'm not fine with it. You want to criticize someone directly, I'm fine with it. But insulting them. Here's a story from Variety. Ricky Gervais's Netflix comedy special Supernature has only been released on the streamer for a few hours, but it has already drawn criticism for a string of graphic and hurtful transphobic jokes. 4 minutes into the special, Gervais dives into material about the trans community seemingly calculated to draw controversy. Bravo, good sir, Ricky Gervais. You have certainly courted Tim Pool into doing a segment on you and the things you have to say.
Yes, that was the reason behind this. I'm sure he's very aware of your career. I watched the entire special this morning because I wanted to be able to talk about it a little bit, and I know, detractors are going to be like, "Oh, you haven't even watched it, you don't get it." Don't you understand their jokes? Yeah, I understand their jokes. I am not in the corner of the left that thinks that there should be no such thing as jokes, the no fun left, whatever you want to call them. In fact, I don't even think Ricky Gervais should feature a wide ban as a result.
P, thanks. My first, but not my surfy last, Mr. Fraser.
Thank you so much, Roller Dragon, for gifting Eric FM7 a tier 1 subscription. Appreciate it. Anyways, I don't want to be here telling you that people can't make jokes. You certainly can. You can make jokes, and what those jokes are going to serve could be a multitude of things. Your jokes could be in service of trying to further racist stereotypes. Your jokes could be about marginalizing trans people. Your jokes could do any number of things, and you can always use the cover afterwards that they're just jokes. You can't take jokes? And Ricky Gervais, even in the special, does like to say in the middle that he's actually for trans rights. He thinks trans rights are human rights. He says that in the middle, in between two unbelievably dated transphobic segments. He also ends his speech talking about how trans rights are human rights, and then ends by saying something along the vein of if you have to be a trans woman, cut off your cock, or something like that. And then that's again a joke. It's a joke, right? They're all jokes. He has every right to make those jokes, just as everyone else, like myself, has a right to say that I think that these were an unbelievable selection of low-hanging fruit. They were very, very dated. They were everything from, things I would have expected to hear in like a 1990s comedy special by a white dude talking about the differences between black people and white people style of stuff. It's painful to watch. It's painful to watch a lot of comics who have either an incredibly versatile career or were legends in their own right, like Dave Chappelle, continuously look towards all this low-hanging fruit and use it to punch down on a regular basis. And they keep hearing this criticism, you're punching down, and the defense that they keep using, and Ricky Gervais uses it in this special, is that I make fun of everyone. What's wrong? I make fun of every single person, every single group, and so is it fine for me to make fun? This is my way of being inclusive. I'm being inclusive by punching down to everybody, literally punching down to everyone. Language isn't violence. It can't actually physically hurt people. So ultimately, this is just a way for us all to be in the same category. And I think they fundamentally don't understand the concept of the idea of punching down. No one is saying that you, even as a cis person, can't make jokes about trans people. It's what are those jokes in service to? What is the point of the punchline? And I can give you an example, because this was one that was spread or versions of this were spread quite a bit, a while ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, by people like Jon Stewart, for example. So it goes along like this. When Caitlyn Jenner first came out, she was suddenly featured on a number of prominent magazines and magazine covers, and everyone started talking about, including mainstream news, about how hot she was, how beautiful she was, and how incredibly attractive they found her. And then that just felt like something that was really inclusive, because as soon as you've identified as a woman and people recognize you as such, well, you are suddenly completely objectified solely for your body and whether or not men would or would not smash. So equality, it's we've achieved it. That was a joke that was told by I think first Jon Stewart, maybe a couple of other people did. That is a joke told by a cis person about a trans person, and the entire purpose of that joke is not to demean or belittle or vilify or make the trans experience something to be afraid of and something to mock. It's actually in service of talking about how society, broadly speaking, objectifies women for their looks, and I'm sure it was told way funnier than I was. I was just trying to remember it as I was saying it, and that's the biggest difference. There's an example directly of, again, a cis person making a joke about a trans person, and then what is the joke's intent? What is it in service to? And again, Ricky Gervais can make these jokes. Dave Chappelle can make these jokes. Go ahead, make those jokes. I don't get why, on one end, the same crowd that is constantly talking about how, like, oh, what, are you too offended? What's the problem? Oh, yeah, just like that James McCaster special, like, what, too challenging for you? And it's like, but why doesn't it go in the opposite direction? Why can't someone else say you're a hack? And what you're doing right now is kind of pathetic, because that's just my opinion. Why is it in the opposite direction? Suddenly it's like, oh, whoa, what are you trying to cancel me because I'm telling the truth? This is just too much, too many truth bombs dropping to you at once, simultaneously. Now, if you're wondering, I guess, what some of the jokes are, here's, of course, Zuby promoting them. So again, playing right into the same stereotypes that conservatives have been pushing for a very long time, the ones that don't bear out in any data, that are used to fearmonger the trans community, and the idea being that if trans women are allowed to use the same bathrooms as cis women, then they are going to result in sexual assault. And that's something that everyone should be afraid of, and we're going to continue to fearmonger about it. Now, Ricky takes it one step further and tries to say, well, if people actually air and voice those concerns, well, at the end of the day, you're a bigot because you're not being accepting. So you're the true bigot, and that's where the punchline is supposed to be. Now, obviously, people find this really, really funny. Obviously people find it hilarious. This was one of many, sequences that Ricky Gervais has in this comedy special. He reverts to a lot of his old classic tropes as well. Fat people are fat, and what's wrong with making fun of them because they're fat. He's got a whole segment on because things are becoming so woke. Eventually, we're going to have woke pedophilia. And people are going to, have to treat that as something that's not allowed to be talked about in a negative light, because that's, I guess, the inevitable end of any of this kind of activism or stuff like that. But like, my point being in all this, because this is, I'm sure, one of numerous times we're going to keep talking about this issue over and over and over, because this is just, I guess, comedy gold for a selection of people who can't think of anything funnier right now, is that people criticizing you is very different than people saying, hey, I don't accept any jokes that are not pro-trans, and as a result of that, you are not allowed to speak, sir. It's more, I don't think you're able to take criticism. I don't think any of them are. I think the same people who like to dish it out all the time become the biggest snowflakes, this side of the Arctic. As soon as anyone pushes back against it, and then it's like, your jokes suck. This is just transphobic. That's all there is to it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, yet another cancellation. Yet another cancellation, woe is me. Oh, I'm just going to have to sign on to another $40 million Netflix deal now. That's just going to be my cross to bear at the end of this. And of course, you're going to get the right-wing conservatives who are just like, like Tim Pool, talking about how, they can't handle it. They can't handle these jokes. Just
understand why we would grant one right to one group and not the other. If we're saying you have to provide all services, then where do you draw the line? And therein lies the challenge. Don't come to me for those answers, because I ain't got them. I don't. I can understand, like, national origin, race, religion, and things like that. But therein lies the same issue as the slippery slope.
What would people be saying right now if Ricky Gervais has stand-up special, and in that stand-up special, he starts making a whole bunch of old-timey racist jokes towards black people? Just does 2 or 3 of them in a row. And then after doing them, after dropping a couple N-bombs, or maybe dropping a couple N-bombs with soft A, because he doesn't want to be a little too extreme, at the end of it, he's like, well, I was making fun of all people in that comedy special. I was making fun of white people. I was making fun of Mexican people. I was making fun of Asian people. I mean, at the end of the day, I was making fun of everyone. Why are you getting upset at me for being racist when I was just, everyone was equal in this? Dude, what's going on here? And you know exactly what the answer would be. You would be like, do you understand what you're doing with your quote-unquote jokes, though? Like, even if I don't find it funny, sure, you can label this as a comedy set. You can label these as jokes. I understand that. But what is the purpose that it's serving here? Like, it's... Like, people don't understand the idea of how in, say, World War II, and we're going right to Godwin's Law, because this is the internet, there was a concerned effort to consistently vilify the Jews, to other them, and to compare them to rats, cockroaches, insects. All of that was in service to dehumanize them. By dehumanizing a certain group, it is going to be much more effective, or you will be much more effective at being able to commit atrocities towards them. That's part of the damaging effect of doing jokes like Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle seem to like to do right now, where their entire purpose is, again, to make trans people come across as strange, as weird, as looking to erase the rights of cis women, as looking to destroy the concept of gender as we know it. And you know what this really goes to, or what this really speaks to? I think these are showing everybody right now what the limits of liberal allies are. Because in the case of Dave Chappelle, in the case of Ricky Gervais, and in the case of Bill Maher, we have 3 very prominent liberals. Yes, liberals. They all vote Democratic. Dave Chappelle was a big supporter of Yang Gang. Ricky Gervais has been on record before saying that he votes for Labor. These are all liberals, and it shows you how far they're willing to help and or fight for marginalized groups and their rights. It's as far as they feel comfortable. Once it reaches a point where all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, this is too much. Then it's no longer, well, I'm an ally. Trans rights are human rights. I want to fight for you. I want to fight on your behalf. It's like, this is a bit much. It's a bit much. I don't know. Like, they, them. I have to use a third pronoun. Like, what? Do I have to learn how to use that pronoun? It's a bit much. Non-binary. I don't really understand that. What? So you're no gender? Are you all genders? What does that mean? Agender? I'm not. This is all. Look, I'm for trans rights. All right. I'm very pro LGBTQ+. Okay. Maybe not asexual, because I don't really understand that either. I mean, come on, is that really a thing? Does that exist? Are people asexual? Like, they just don't want to have... Who doesn't want to have sex? Okay, that one doesn't make sense. Okay, so maybe I'm up... I won't add the plus. I'm LGBTQ friendly, okay? And I'm an ally. I'm an ally, but you have to do it my way. And just basically, you're pushing for too much right now. It's going too far at the end of the day, and this is as far as I want to take it. And I'm going to push back. Because you're getting a bit uppity, to be totally frank. It's a bit much, asking for additional pronouns, saying that trans women are apparently allowed to use the same bathrooms as cis women. I don't feel comfortable. Look, I'm for you existing. Just don't remind me of it. Don't be in my face about it, and don't just like try to keep turning these into causes. Okay, I think you're doing it for attention. To be totally honest, can we be honest? Can we all? Are we allowed to talk about this? Can I talk about how the whole thing is a fad? Is that a big thing? Can we talk about that? I'm for you existing politely. That's it. And that's honestly what I'm seeing. That's why we're seeing people like Bill Maher come out and make those horrifying transphobic statements that he's making, while at the same time being like, I'm an ally. Come on. Or even Jimmy Dore has done that in the past, where Jimmy Dore has straight up been like, I'm an ally. Okay, if you're gonna target me as a transphobe when I'm an ally, then you've got no hope. Okay, I'm the best hope you have. So basically, do as I say and just understand why there's some things and some things you cannot have in terms of civil rights. No, I saw that this morning, but I mean, it's very true. Ricky Gervais starves to death after massive fire destroys all low-hanging fruit. Comedian Ricky Gervais was found dead at age 60 in his home this morning after a massive fire in Los Angeles burned down all the low-hanging fruit, which was his only source of sustenance, according to those familiar with the situation. It's so tragic what happened to Ricky. It's a shame to think that we're all living in a world without him, said a family member close to Gervais. It pains me to think that we won't have to be having a laugh with Ricky anymore. Well, I guess to be fair, we've all been having many laughs with Ricky for several years, given what his output was. I mean, did you see his show Derek? No? That's right. No one did. But you get what I mean. If only he could have eaten that higher-up fruit. Back in his office days, he could reach any fruit on the branch. But as days went on, he became comedically hunched over, and he was only able to reach fruit hanging lower and lower on the tree. Had this fire occurred 20 years ago, I think he would not have starved to death. But we're not even in the days of extras anymore. According to a representative from Netflix, the streaming service is close to releasing Gervais's next stand-up special, which will not be released posthumously. To say the least, we were all shocked here at Netflix. Well, not shocked because we knew about Ricky's condition, and we heard about the news about the fruit, but saddened, said a Netflix representative. Gervais' new comedy special, which he insisted on calling Even More Triggered, really pushed boundaries. Now, jokes and Roblox aside, to be fair, Tim Pool's point about the fact that Netflix releases a variety of content is true. Netflix does release content, which I would definitely associate with being pro-trans. It also releases content that is 100% transphobic. Netflix also has a horrible track record, as we're seeing more and more, with the treatment of their diversity employees. They have a very big problem with responding to feedback, with responding to protests in this regard. And I should also state that when a whole bunch of trans employees and allies were protesting Netflix, one of their demands was not that the Dave Chappelle special get taken down. They weren't like, a lot of people are like, it's because all of you are asking for censorship. All of you keep asking, you just want to censor these jokes because they're too edgy and you can't take jokes. I was like, holy shit, if there's one crowd that is quite used to taking jokes at their expense, it's trans people, because that's been them living their entire lives. With, you know, cis people, brave cis people, making endless jokes, because this is just apparently an incredible comedy tree of fruit, low-hanging fruit to be picking from in this case. But the pushback against this is something that I still state that they can't handle. I like it's as if like very fair, well-leveled criticism against these kind of comedians is just seen as, oh, cancel culture, we went too woke, oh no, we're going broke and all this kind of stuff. Funny how they released an entire documentary about how harmful media representation hurts trans people and went on, do all of this. Yeah, and they're not going to stop, by the way. Netflix has clearly stated that they're going to release what they want to release. If Ricky Gervais wanted a special after this, I'm sure he would get a couple $1 million payday. We've got the new Dave Chappelle coming out. So Netflix's stance is basically going to be, we're going to release whatever you want. Doesn't matter what your stance is going to be on that. I'm going to continue to criticize these comedy specials, though. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, you didn't get the jokes, Lance. No, wait. I got the jokes, okay? I got his jokes against indigenous people. I understood them. I understood what his jokes were against trans people. I understood what his jokes were against disabled people. I understood what his jokes were against women. I understood what his jokes were against fat people. I get the essence of the comedy. And whether or not I find it funny, again, it's immaterial because it's all relative. Comedy is subjective. It doesn't matter what one person is going to find funny or not. I would just ask that these snowflakes grow thicker skin at the end of the day, and not take any criticism of their work as being the production of a hack, as being a direct cancellation, because we can't handle the humor. Yeah, there's a very big difference there. Gervais already said Netflix bought his next special. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Another cancellation. Another cancellation. Huh.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojak, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.